Hello everyone, this is Roman Cultist. In this video I'm going to be talking about nature worship and why the path I'm on is not considered nature worship by any stretch of the imagination. First of all, I want to show you guys this. I managed to wrap my black tourmaline, which is great because now it's in necklace form, and I'm going to tell you something, this is a pretty heavy necklace. It's not super heavy, but I can feel the pull. That's why I don't wear it at night, because it's just heavy. So, yeah. Oh man. So if you guys are not a fan of heavy necklaces, then definitely get a smaller piece of black tourmaline. So, in this video, as I said, I'm talking about nature worship and why my path is not nature-based. So here goes. Get it done before my brother comes back home. So in religions like Wicca, of any kind of form, one of the things that is made very bluntly clear is that there's a reverence to nature and there's a reverence to everything. Everything is interconnected to each other. We get this belief from the Celts because the Celts revered everything. They revered trees, they revered streams, they revered the ocean, they revered wells. In fact, when the Catholics came along, they basically rededicated wells to saints and all that type of stuff. So people get their reverence for nature and everything about nature from the Celts. Despite the fact that the Romans and the Greeks were very well aware of nature and how brutal it was not revered. Just because the ancient pagans or polytheists lived in a world with no television and no refrigerators doesn't mean that they were nature worshippers. And the thing is, people get this confused. It isn't the land that the Greeks or the Romans revered. It's not the streams that was revered. It's not the sky that was revered. It's not the ocean that was revered. It's not the caves that were revered. They were looked at as birthplaces of certain deities. Example, the cave on the island of Crete is considered to be the birthplace of Zeus. The cave itself was not revered. It's the location that was accepted as where he was born, and so they went there to be at the place where he was at. When we talk about streams, we're not talking about a society that revered streams. Like I said, that's entirely a Celtic idea. When we talk about streams, we're talking about where the nymphs lived. And it was the nymphs that were revered and honored, not where they were at. So the idea that all these pagan religions worship nature and honored nature is not true. Sorry about that. I do not revere streams. I do not revere the sky. I do not revere the mountains. I do not revere the ocean. I acknowledge that we are responsible for keeping the ocean clean and the rivers clean and the ground litter free. Because to be absolutely honest, who wants to walk through garbage? Just, you know, a thought. Um, so we're looking at two entirely different concepts here. Of, on one hand, you got the Celts that revered trees and rivers and lakes and the ocean and the earth on one hand, and you have, on the other hand, you have a society that did not revere these things, but revered or honored the spirits, the nymphs, the titans, the gods that made these things happen, not the object that had happened to that. I hope I'm making some sense there. So if we go and look at, say, a tree, for instance, somebody who practices a nature-based religion would revere that tree and ask its permission if it, to use its wood, and it would leave an offering. For people who do not practice a nature-based religion, they would leave offerings to the tree, not because they're leaving offerings to the tree, they're leaving offerings to the wood nymph that lives inside the tree. So it's very different. I mean, we pour libation to the wood nymphs. We would offer our food. We would burn incense to the nymph, not to the tree. So same thing with the ocean. If I ever go to the ocean, I would basically honor Poseidon and not the ocean. If I was at say say I saw lightning hit a tree and the tree is not, or hasn't been knocked over, I would leave an offering to Zeus, because the lightning is his symbol or his weapon, and because that lightning hit the tree, then I would leave an offering to Zeus in response. Another example, if a friend of mine survived giving birth, I would pour libation to Artemis for aiding in the event of her being able to give birth, and in thanks and appreciation of her surviving giving birth. So it's very, very different between, say, people who practice nature-based religions like Druidry and Wicca, and Celtic Reconstructionism, and paths that are more of honoring the nymphs and the titans and the gods and the goddesses and their influence on things. So I hope I did this correctly. It's very hard to explain why the idea that you worship the creation instead of the creator doesn't actually hold water when you talk about religions that did not do these things. So I hope I got it out. So I'll see you guys around. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'm hoping that my Athena will be in this week. And if it's in, yay, or I should say Minerva, however you want to look at it. So I will see you around. Bye.